Hello everyone and welcome aboard this Sankofa flight today. First, I must confess something. I'm quite intimidated by the special passenger who embarks with us on this 18th of March. Why? It's probably his nerve, like when he declines the offer of French President Emmanuel Macron to work for the French equivalent of Commonwealth, or when in his dark blazers he openly criticized African politicians. I think the most intimidating is actually his literary work, because above all he is a writer before becoming a professor. Dear passengers, the Sankofa today takes us to the date of March 17, 2016 in Paris, which saw our passengers' inaugural lecture to the College of France, a prestigious French institution created in 1530, where he will lead the artistic creation section. He is the first African and first writer to occupy this seat, and his appointment put forward the reflection on a continent and on cultures that will mark the century that begins. Please, welcome now the impertinent Professor Alain Mabanckou.
African History Daily by my daddy.
So, Professor, how would you define yourself? Would you say you are a Congalic, a contraction from Congolese and Gallic, as put by the great Congolese poet Chikaya Utamsi? Or would you say you are a dual citizen to keep up with the time? To that question, here is an attempt of response in his own words, extracted from his speech at that public inaugural lecture. In 1530, year of the creation of the College of France, then called Royal College, I did not exist as a human being. I was still a captive, and in Senegambia, for example, a horse was worth 6 to 8 black slaves. Slave, this condition of a man who has been incapacitated since the curse of Cam. This curse of Cam has largely fueled a certain racism toward me and served as a roadmap for black slavery in all dimensions. If my skin, which I would not trade for anything in this world, is absent from religious text relating to this episode, it is found curiously in Origen, the founding father of biblical exegesis, which introduced in the 3rd century the idea of darkness of sin. Being black will therefore be a fate for millions of people because this color, thrown into pasture sewn with white thread, because this color had become a posture in the face of history. Yet I'm the same man. All this is of course history. All this is of course of the past. But this past still doesn't pass. It inhabits our unconscious. It governs sometimes our judgment and still lives in all of us because it writes our destinies in the present. End of quote. Dear Prof, I hope this inaugural lecture made you proud in view of your long journey starting in Pointe-Noire in Congo that you left at the age of 22 until you published your first novel in 1998 titled Blue, White, Red on the myth of Europe as a paradise for Africans. That was African Book of the Year, followed by Broken Glass in 2005, unanimously hailed just before Memoirs of Porcupine, which won the famous Renaudot Prize in 2006, almost 4 decades after your Malian elder, Yambo Wologem, was awarded the same prize in 1968 for his duty of violence. In Black Bazaar that you kindly autographed for me in 2009, and in Tomorrow I Will Be 20, crowned by the George Brassens Prize in 2010, you sounded already more than ever nostalgic of Pointe-Noire, your hometown in Congo. Listen, Prof, I only have 5 minutes for this podcast and I really cannot venture to say everything you wrote or won, so let me stop here. The point of all this blah blah is really to appreciate how much things have changed so far in France. Who could have imagined this in 1916 when began the use of the allegory of Banania and other racist advertisement that marked the century, fixing an eternal colonial image of a black man? So much has changed since the publication of the first Negro novel titled Batouala, which won the most prestigious literature prize in France called the Goncourt Prize. So much effort done, finally, since the movie Black Micmac, which focused on the screens in 1986, the claims of the black people of France for more place in the history of this nation. My African cliché of today is a challenge on some of your books, Prof. Your novel titled Letter to Jimmy, dedicated in 2007 to the American writer James Baldwin, and then your translation work from English to French of the book Beast of No Nation, written by the young prodigy of Nigerian-American literature, Uzodinma Iweala. These two works where you made the clear link between what I would call the two types of black. That doesn't mean two nuances of black, but really the two ways to be black in the eyes of the West. First, the black American. That's the cool black, who can say without fear of being ogled, I don't speak French well. And then you have the other black, like the black African, a bit basic of black, who tries to speak academic French but stands no chance to actually being recognized for it. So here is the challenge for you, you who disserted about the black Parisian. Could you tell me, is a black person different whether he lives like you in Santa Monica or in Asmara or anywhere else in Africa? How exactly is he different? What about you, dear listeners? What do you say? What are your own clichés about being black around the world? It's up to you to think about it, and I will see you tomorrow for new readings of our African continent. Thank you.